Oscar Piastri is being targeted as the replacement for Max Verstappen. Well, that's what a lot of headlines said in the first week of May, around the Miami Grand Prix. I kind of missed this news as I was busy with my own business and creating videos on different topics. I felt this news was too good to pass by because I know a lot of my subscribers are invested in Oscar Piastri. So without further ado, let's talk about this news and then we'll analyze it. Obviously, I have an opinion on it. I'm Wimbo. Here's 3 seconds to leave a like. I think the news was brought out by the Italian side of motorsport, which is usually a pretty reliable source. In the article it's explained that Red Bull has singled out Oscar Piastri as their preferred replacement if Max Verstappen were to leave the Milton Keynes team. This news was confirmed by multiple sources, even though the Dutch 4-time world champion has a contract until the end of 2028. Laurent Mekies and Oliver Minchloff have discussed this together and see a great replacement in the young Australian, even if it's still unlikely to happen. The article talks about how Piastri's manager Mark Webber has close ties with Red Bull, having been a driver there himself, and how it's a bit of a shift for Red Bull as Helmut Marko always liked to push their own junior drivers forward, to see if they would sink or swim. Hiring Perez was already a decision that deviated from what they normally do. In the case of them hiring Piastri, it would be the second time it had happened. Nobody at McLaren has said a word about it, as Piastri has a contract that keeps him there until the end of 2027. But people in the paddock have also started whispering about a Piastri-Verstappen swap. But it was said in the article there's no evidence that the Papaya team wants Max, and he's not happy with the sport as it is anyway. So these are pretty much the highlights of this article. I'll leave it in the description if you want to read the whole thing. I think that's fair since I'm using their article. After reading this article, I immediately started thinking about Piastri at Red Bull, how he would fit in there and if he'd survive. Let me first say that I don't doubt his skills as a racing driver. He's fast, he's solid and headstrong, and there are no issues there. I do think Oracle Red Bull Racing is a little bit out there when it comes to advertising and big promo videos. Only last week, Verstappen was in Japan to record a video racing a GT500 car in the rain against the GT500 Pro Racer. Max beat him by 1.8 seconds. Not everyone believed this was the case, but yeah, certain people just need to question everything Verstappen does. Piastri at Red Bull as a number 1 driver looks like a good idea at first glance. He won't have to give up positions like he had to do in McLaren with their papaya rules, and Red Bull knows how to pamper their star drivers. However, Red Bull has a junior program which brings forth young, talented drivers all the time. At the moment, they're all getting destroyed by Verstappen and the cars that are so on the edge. So it looks like the junior team is failing. I can foresee a situation where Oscar Piastri gets a nice solid package, good balance, nothing too extreme, and then a junior driver like Hadjar or Lindblad can handle that car just as well. If they start showing promise and start beating Piastri on a regular basis, it wouldn't surprise me if the focus shifted to their own junior. His manager Mark Webber knows exactly what that's like. He was usurped by Sebastian Vettel, who ignored team orders all the time and was never really punished for it. Well, they couldn't, because in the end he won 4 titles for them. Mark Webber isn't present at the races anymore at the request of Oscar himself. I think Webber made too much ruckus about the papaya rules I mentioned earlier, and Oscar wanted things to quiet down a bit more. His coach from the F2 days is at the races now, I believe. I think I read that somewhere. I don't think Red Bull is a great place as a non-Red Bull driver with a junior driver breathing down your neck. Someone like Lindblad is brought into F1 early because they are hoping he will do Verstappen or Vettel things. So far I haven't seen it, to be honest. I do understand why Red Bull stepped away from bringing in a junior driver to replace Max, if that was to happen. I don't think a Hadjar Lindblad or a Hadjar Lawson lineup would be the best solution. Piastri is a race winner. He's headstrong and he's very talented. He could lead the team for as long as it lasts. One thing that isn't talked about is the option to get Piastri to replace Hadjar. The second seat curse is slowly starting again. And obviously, I don't want to point fingers, but both Red Bull and Hadjar haven't been exactly the sharpest in the last few races. Hadjar suffered a DNF while being in a great position in Australia. Red Bull has made a mistake on Hadjar's car that saw him disqualified from quali in Miami, and then Hadjar clipped the barrier and took himself out of the race. If this were to continue all season, as it did with Tsunoda, then bringing in a solid driver is not a bad idea. I'm sure Piastri would do better than the Red Bull juniors. Then again, he might suffer the same fate as Perez, Lawson and Tsunoda. I'm not sure if I would advise him to take that chance, to be honest. So yeah, there are a whole lot of ifs and buts involved in this story. And none of it will happen if Piastri is happy at McLaren and Verstappen is happy at Red Bull and Formula 1. Do you think they're all happy where they are? We all remember how Piastri arrived at McLaren. He was announced as an Alpine driver because Alonso moved to Aston Martin. And then Piastri tweeted that famous line about not driving for Alpine. Not much later he was announced as a McLaren driver. And the rest is history. He needed a season to get the hang of things, started winning races in his second season, led the championship for ages in his third season, and at the moment he scored 2 podiums in his fourth season. Not bad at all. However, it's not all rainbows and sunshine at McLaren. His teammate Lando Norris has a billionaire father who invested a great deal of money into McLaren. The CEO of McLaren, a certain Zak Brown, was an investor in Lando Norris's gaming lifestyle and apparel brand, Quadrant. I'm not saying that these situations led to clear favoritism of the English driver, but a lot of people do say that this led to clear favoritism of the English driver. And what do you know? Lando Norris won the title after Oscar Piastri suddenly couldn't drive anymore towards the end of the season last year. This is probably why Webber made so much noise on behalf of Piastri last season. It's clear Piastri decided to stick it out with McLaren as they are an amazing team who keep hiring great people. But I'm sure Webber is looking at better options elsewhere. And that may be Red Bull, his old team. Oscar Piastri's stock is still very high, and I believe he shouldn't wait for more McLaren nonsense, which may diminish his position and his value drops. Mind you, McLaren also has a junior team, and so far they have been dropping their young drivers. But there may come a time when the board says they want to see results from their investments. So far, they have let Bortoleto go and Alex Dunn. Leonardo Fornaroli is also a McLaren driver, and I'm sure they are prepping him to make it into F1. McLaren isn't going to let him walk away as well, and they are surely not going to replace Lando Norris. This means that in the near future, Piastri may be forced to find another seat. So it's not that strange to look at what Red Bull could bring. So in conclusion, Red Bull is a great team if Piastri is there without Max Verstappen and the junior drivers don't come knocking. That's my take on it. What's yours? See you in the comment section. Thank you for watching till the end, and if you want to see more, please subscribe. Take care now. Doei doei.